It is looking 5 to 8. And we're on the verge of the Waynesburg, which is going to get 8 to 12. Waynesburg used to be right there. We don't want that. The West. Are you from the West?
We're doing, have me do the pledge.
I'd like to call to order the City Council Agenda Caucus for Monday, February 27th, 2023. We have 10 items for original consideration. The clerk could please read item number 1.
Item number 1 for a public hearing regarding amendments to Chapter 161 of the Schenectady City Code regarding collection of white goods.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 2. Item number 1.
Item number 1 for original consideration, a resolution calling for a public hearing to amend Section 186-16 of the Schenectady City Code regarding smoking in city parks.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 2.
Item number 2 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the City of Schenectady to waive property tax, interest, and penalties for wholly tax-exempt religious corporation owning 801 Stanley Street.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 3.
Item number 3 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement with Community Loan Fund of the Capital Region Incorporated for $200,000 for the Small Business Assistance Program.
Discussed in committee without objection and on consent. Item number 4.
Item number 4 for original consideration, a resolution approving and authorizing the City of Schenectady to accept funding from the State and Municipal Facilities Program for purchase of a virtual reality de-escalation training tool.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 5.
Item number 5 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the city to enter into an agreement with Catapult Games Incorporated for $70,000 to provide a virtual reality de-escalation training for a 2-year period.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 6.
Item number 6 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of 35 Moyston Street for $500.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 7.
Item number 7 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a lawsuit by Mohammed Rahman and Farhana Poli.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 8.
Item number 8 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a claim by Safeco Insurance as subrogate of Jonathan Miller.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 9.
Item number 9 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing settlement of a tax certiorari with Southside Development LLC with regard to 1108 State Street.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 10.
Item number 10 for original consideration, a resolution recognizing Women's History Month.
Item number 10 will be taken out of order and presented by Councilmember Patrick. If the clerk would read.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's nothing more to come before the City Council caucus, I ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Patrick, second by Mr. Williams. All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. I'd like to call the City Council meeting to order for Monday, February 27th, 2023. I'd like to call on Reverend Ronald Hunt for the prayer invocation.
Good evening. Those who have been here before know that I do not give a religious benediction for government meetings. If you hear the word pray or prayer tonight, I'm asking you to believe in a greater good or a reason for inspiration that you may not be able to logically prove. There are greater goods all around us, as well as present in this room and in our lives. The city representatives before you, who not only administer and plan the city's business, but make themselves available outside working hours to our communities. Those of them and you who volunteer throughout our community. In my coaching and wedding practice, I appeal for people to give and listen more. Inevitably, they receive more and then can share their opinion. There is a direct correlation to gratitude. It is not enough to speak pretty words and insightful words. There must be a plan of action behind them. I call this manifesting your affirmations. Please enjoy the next hour of give and take communication and be respectful of one another. I would personally like to thank the city and their hardworking employees for the magnificent job they've done on snow removal this season. We can all find something the city can be doing better or more creatively. Please remember this in your remarks this evening. If I could ask everyone for a favor, if we could just have a short moment of silence to say a prayer or private thought of support for Samantha Humphrey and her family. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call on Councilmember Patrick to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If the clerk would please complete the roll call.
Mr. Mutsuverin? Present. Mr. Toro?
here.
Mr. Farley?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Ms. Patrick?
Here.
Mr. Palomini? Ms. Porterfield?
Here. So the individuals haven't arrived, maybe the snow, and so we'll just, oh, is someone here? Okay. Item number 10, resolution recognizing Women's History Month, and I'd like to call on Councilmember Patrick to present this resolution.
Hi.
Yeah, perfect.
Come around. Hello. Take a breath.
Yeah, I know. I know that.
May I have the floor, Madam
You
President?
may have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to have with us tonight Kim Siciliano, who is the Executive Director of our YWCA of Northeastern New York, who's here tonight to join us as we usher in tomorrow, Wednesday, March, as Women's History Month. So I'd like to read the resolution. Whereas in 1980, President Jimmy Carter designated the first week of March as National Women's History Week, noting that, quote, the achievements, leadership, courage, strength, and love of the women who built America was as vital as that of the men whose names we know so well, end of quote. Whereas since 1987, Women's History Month has been officially recognized by the United States Congress and celebrated during March. And whereas Women's History Month is dedicated to the accomplishments and achievements of women of every race, class, and ethnic background throughout United States history that are often overlooked. And whereas the theme for 2023's Women's History Month is celebrating women who tell our stories, honoring women in every community who have devoted their lives and talents to producing art, pursuing truth, and reflecting the human condition decade after decade. And whereas throughout time, women authors, songwriters, scholars, playwrights, performers, and grandmothers have long been instrumental in passing on our heritage in word and in print to communicate the lessons and experiences of those who came before us, helping to expand our understanding and strengthen our connections with each other. And whereas recognizing the achievements of women in all facets of life, science, community, government, literature, art, sports, medicine, has a huge impact on the development of self-respect and new opportunities for girls and young women. And whereas women have been inspirational leaders not only in advancing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in other social justice movements, including the abolitionist movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and the gay rights movement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor, Gary R. McCarthy, and the City Council of the City of Schenectady do hereby pause in their deliberations to recognize and celebrate Women's History Month in March 2023 and acknowledge and salute the critical role that women have played in the development, success, and achievements of the city of Schenectady and the United States. I'd like to make that motion to pass this resolution.
So moved. Excuse me, second? Second? Second by Mr. Farley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, motion passed.
Now, I want to, yes, I'd like you to, I would love to say something.
So thank you so much for this. I was at a board meeting, so I apologize for my tardiness. So we just finished up, and a couple of things I did want to share. Being that Women's History Month theme is sharing herstory, well, we call it herstory, not history. We will be every Wednesday in March, I'll be interviewing 5 instrumental women in our community. And they'll be talking about their herstory in the city of Schenectady. I have 1 slot open, so if you're interested, let me know. So I'd love to interview a couple more folks and talking about the mark they've made, not only in Schenectady, but in their own lives, what they see as history. And for 135 years, that is where we are this year, 135 years in Schenectady. We've been around since 1888, and when we talk about women, we're talking about trans-inclusive. We work with everyone who identifies themselves as a woman, and that work is never-ending, and we appreciate the City Council support in all of that work, and the Mayor's support in all of that work for 135 years, and we couldn't do it without you, and it takes us all. So I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you all. And Women's History Month lives on, as does the YW in Schenectady, with all of your support. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Can we do a selfie pic? Sure. Yikes. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. We have 1 public hearing tonight regarding amendments to Chapter 161 of the Schenectady City Code regarding collection of white goods. I have no one signed up for this public hearing, so I declare the public hearing closed. I ask for approval of minutes for February 13th, 2023. Moved by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Mutadarian. All in favor? Aye. The clerk could please read any communications and petitions.
Communications presented to City Council for Monday, February 27, 2023. Under official, there were none. Under general, from Mabel Leon, an email addressing the difficulties she's had emailing individual council members, and another email expressing her strong support for the Clean Slate Act. From David Giacalone, an email regarding questions on the creative outdoor advertising, bins, and ads, and suggested that the city improve the sidewalks rather than having a handful of neighbors decide. From Donald H. Davis, a letter requesting Lady Liberty statue be moved back to Freedom Park and the possibility of fundraising for this endeavor. From Harold and Debbie Schneiderwind, an email requesting that all garbage and white goods continue to be picked up weekly. They also asked that yard waste be collected beginning in March. Services are dwindling and becoming difficult to access. Under petitions, there were none.
Thank you. I call on council members at this time to provide any committee reports. All right, we'll have privilege of the floor related to the legislative agenda. I have no one signed up to speak, so I declare the public comment on the legislative agenda closed. I'll ask for approval of the legislative agenda. Moved by Ms. Patrick, second by Mr. Mudavaren. All in favor? Aye. This time we have privilege of the floor regarding general city business. I have no one signed up to speak, so I declare the public comment of city business closed. Miscellaneous business of the council. Mayor?
I have an hour and a half speech prepared. Just again, wanted to offer my condolences simply to the Humphrey family, daughter, and sad times the police department works to put that together. Also, the forecast for the weather, National Weather Service has upped the prediction here. We're looking to get 4 to 6 inches. Now it's looking more 6 to 8 inches. The forecast a couple days out is temperatures going above freezing, so we're going to have a little bit of inconvenience tonight and tomorrow. Encourage people to not drive if you don't have to. Take one shovel on each side of a fire hydrant, and if you can get your vehicles off the street, it makes it easier for the plows to get through, get the snow moved back, so that again we can maintain access for public safety vehicles, and people can get up and down the streets without any restriction. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor. Would like to thank those that did come out tonight for the meeting. And I understand with the weather, as the mayor said, it's, probably kept some folks home. I also like to offer my condolences to the Humphrey family, the family of Samantha Humphrey, and, it's difficult times, and I actually do know her grandmother, so, it's challenging for them. So just ask that you would keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And I want to, today, one more day for Black History Month, I want to thank all of you that did come out to the celebration yesterday. It was long, but it was very informative, and I heard from those that were there that they really learned a lot and had a good time. So for those of you that attended, council members, thank you very much for being there. Really appreciate that support. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Mudavera, second by Mr. Williams. All those in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Have a good evening. 15 minutes. I think we should fit that.